Hello there. This is going to be a general reading for the month of July 2018 for the sign of Virgo, Virgo's sun, moon, or rising sign. And so I'm going to be doing an 11 card Celtic cross spread. This will be in the highest good of Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. I hope you're well. My name's Ara, by the way. I'm not sure if I told you that. Okay. Here we go. Almost done. Okay, I'm going to pick 2 clarifiers. I'm going to pick 1 more. You'll see. Okay. Your first card, which is your central experience for July, is the King of Wands. Your countering situation, or what could be looked at as a challenge to your central experience, is the 8 of Swords. What's helping you or hindering you is the 2 of Pentacles. I'll probably pick a clarifier to go with that. At your core, or your root of your being, is the 9 of Wands. Your recent past was the Princess of Cups. As your best possible outcome, and I'll go into the clarifiers later, you have the Knight of Swords. As your near future is the 6 of Swords. You right now are the King of Cups. In your surroundings is Justice. As what your hopes or fears are, you have the 4 of Cups. And as your general outcome, you have Judgment. And I picked a few clarifiers to go with that, which I'll go into later. So as your central experience for July, this is saying that you are meant to be more like the King of Wands. The King of, and also this can also be a person in your life as well. Oftentimes it's both. It's an aspect of yourself that you need to cultivate, and possibly that's the reason why either you have someone coming in to your life who displays those qualities, or you already have someone in your life and they have been displaying these qualities. But ultimately it's saying this is your central experience. So the King of Wands is all about creativity. He's all about taking charge, reigning in his powers, for his creative powers, for the good of all, himself and too. Notice it's hard to see it because my cards are so scuffed, but in this card, he has a pet dragon, which reminds me of the Strength card, because this is a minor arcana card that is associated with Leo. All of the kings are the fixed signs. So this could be a Leo in your life, or it could just be someone who shows these qualities that I'm about to mention, which is leadership, bravado, confidence. He keeps his inner beast nature in check and only utilizes it when he absolutely has to. So even though he is kind, friendly, warm, generous, he also is able to lay down his boundaries if necessary, with force if necessary. He is all about self-confidence and believing in your own abilities and being able to do what you want. So if this is a person in your life, this could be a Leo type person who is just a central focus of this month. It can also mean this is a good ally that's coming into your life at this time, who's showing you how to be more self-confident and teaching you about how to assert your boundaries and how to gain respect from other people. I do know that Virgo energy tends to be very considerate and helpful, and is a sign that's associated with helping or healing other people. Sometimes Virgos have a hard time asserting themselves on their own boundaries because they want to help so bad, or they're driven to be as considerate as possible, and sometimes they're more likely to just go away in difficult situations than to lay down the law about what they will or will not accept. Sometimes they don't like confrontation. So this may be saying you need to cultivate boundaries more, or cultivate the ability to speak up more about who you are, what you want, and to gain respect from other people, to be able to assert yourself in a healthy way. Your countering situation to that is the Eight of Swords. This is feeling bound up in your mind about feeling stuck with a situation that feels like you are trapped, or you are trapped into having to do things in a certain way. Really, you want to free your mind and really be able to see all of what's available to you, or all of your possibilities, but you may have been boxing yourself in your mind with either feeling as though you need to adhere to responsibilities or upkeep of things. That's more of a Pentacles card though. So I'm getting mainly concerning asserting yourself. You may have been taught either by family members or by situations over the years where it's extremely hard for you to assert yourself. Maybe you were taught that it was being too bossy or too demanding or too something or too egotistical. But really, this is saying this has held you back in a lot of ways. You haven't been able to express yourself or what's on your mind to other people as clearly as you would like to maintain your boundaries. Perhaps you have given in to situations or just not spoken up when you needed to. I'm getting that some of this may be old programming from family members or how you were taught or raised when you were growing up. Is that it's somehow wrong to assert yourself. So, but really you're trying to work on this because you can definitely tell that it's holding you back and keeping you from being able to show people who you actually really are. This can also be excessive worry or feeling trapped in a situation. So, as what's helping you or hindering you, the Two of Pentacles is about making a choice. Twos are in general about making choices. This can be a choice on a material plane, like choosing one of two jobs, or choosing one of two locations to move to, or choosing one of two people. But that aside, oftentimes to me, it signifies that you are juggling a whole lot. You've got a lot on your plate and a lot of things you need to take care of and do. And so it's hard to know how to prioritize when all of them seem important. All of them are necessary. And so your hope is possibly that you will be able to continue to juggle if you have to, in the best possible manner where you still have energy for yourself and time, equal time spent on all of these different things. It can also be saying that you're really just done with the whole juggling thing and you really do need to prioritize on which things are the most important and lay some other things to rest in the meantime until possibly a later date when you can get back to them. Let me pick a clarifier to go with this. Okay, the Two of Swords, another two. This seems related to the Eight of Swords. They're very similar. If you look at them, they're both blindfolded. One's walking on a tightrope. The other one is stuck in what looks like some kind of a marsh or a bog or something, surrounded by swords, and she's bound. So one is precariously balancing things, and the other one is bound, where she literally can't move, and she can't see where she is or what's available to her. If she could see, she could pick up one of those swords nearby and possibly cut off her bindings with it. And so both of these cards have a lot to do with not seeing clearly because of things going on in your own mind. Eights are always karmic, or about having to work really hard on a lesson. The lesson in the Eight of Swords is that you are not bound or trapped. You just think you are. You can easily untie yourself and rip off that blindfold and be able to see things clearer. With the Two of Swords, she can't see where she's going, but honestly, I'm kind of glad about that, because if she could see, I think she would freak out even more. If she could see she's above a stormy sea like that. That takes some really amazing maneuvering to be able to handle all of those situations. So I'm getting what's hindering you is making up your mind about something, or figuring out which things are more important for you to focus your energies on at this time. It can also, I'm also getting kind of a wait and see attitude of let's see what happens. But let me pick a remedy for this. The Chariot. Clearly decide what you want so that you can move forward in your life, or set goals. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What are your goals? What are your soul's deepest longings, or what you would like to achieve in your life at this time? And to honor your intuition or gut feelings about how to proceed. So, at your core, you have the Nine of Wands, which is all about being completely almost done with something that you have been doing for quite some time. This can also be just a feeling of accomplishment and realizing that you have done so much at this point that you have become a master of your field, or are an authority figure that other people can go to for advice about these things because you have come so far with this. This can also be actions that you take, which at this point, it's more about just showing off your abilities or getting people's attention. Maybe to particular situations that have not been settled properly. Perhaps you are able at this time to share your wisdom with other people on how they could best proceed with something. And this can go for yourself as well. He definitely does not look stuck or torn or shy. He doesn't seem like... This is very much reminding me of the King of Wands in here, which is confidence, relying on your abilities, being able to show off your talents and what you're capable of. You've been working on this for quite some time. If for any reason there is a Virgo person watching that has struggled in the past with self-esteem issues, I definitely see that you have come a long way, and you've done a lot of work on realizing that it is perfectly fine to maintain your boundaries and speak up for yourself in situations, or to honor yourself and your own needs rather than just other people's. And you've come a long way with this. You've gotten much better at asserting yourself than before and honoring your own needs. So, as your recent past, you have the Princess of Cups. This feels like you possibly visited water, like an ocean or a lake or a pond or a stream or hot springs. You may have spent some really exceptionally wonderful times with children in the recent past, where children around you have given you a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. A lot of the cards in here seem very mental, feeling mentally stuck or trapped, or just being overwhelmed and feeling stuck. But this childlike, joyful, creative energy seems very soothing and healing to me, like perhaps being around small children or children in general is giving you a great deal of emotional comfort. And also spending time with dear friends that you enjoy the company of. Focusing on the beauty that you want to cultivate in your life, and trying to take it easy from too much mental strife or worry or too many things you have to do. I see you as you recently have just tried to relax as much as possible. As your general outcome, you have, best possible outcome. This is your best possible outcome. This makes sense to me, considering the other messages in here. Normally, I look at this as being someone that can be extremely abrasive with words or criticism. But in your case, as your best possible outcome, I'm definitely getting that you need to speak up about your boundaries or how you feel. Possibly you could be dealing with a situation in your life at this time where you feel verbally attacked on one level or another by somebody, possibly at work or in your private life or just in your life that you have to deal with, who comes off as being very critical of you, or almost strangely combative in how they communicate with you. If this is the case, then it says you need to speak up and be very clear about what your boundaries are and what you will or will not tolerate from other people in how they communicate with you. This can also be bringing something to people's attention. There may be something going on at this time where you're really trying to get through. For instance, as a possible situation, if you have to speak on the behalf of someone else who's dealing with some kind of medical condition. This could be a scenario where they really your friend or the person you're speaking for really needs their needs met by their doctors, or there may be a worry that they have that needs to be addressed, in which case the doctors may have been ignoring that. And you need to take up the sword and say, hey, this person's really needs you to listen to them. I need you to do your job, or I need this information. That's just one scenario. This can be a lot of things. I'm definitely getting something in here about having to speak up on the behalf of someone else, which makes a lot of sense to me considering you carry Virgo energy. I know how much Virgo energy is very similar to Cancer energy in the way that they are naturally built to take care of other people. Specifically, people who need the help and are not in a position necessarily to be able to help themselves depending on what's going on, or they just need extra help from someone else. So that aside, your best possible outcome is if you need certain information or paperwork or a contract or an agreement or even a yes or no from someone, your best possible outcome may be that you need to speak up if it's been taking too long coming to you, or you're just fed up. You're just fed up with being taken for granted. That's what I want to say. Okay, your clarifier with that is the Sun, which is a wonderful card to get as a remedy or a clarifier for your Knight of Swords there. This leads me to believe again that the general message in this reading is that it's time for you to stand in your power. And by standing in your power, I am not saying to use your power on other people. I'm saying to stand in your power, to acknowledge you for all of the wonderful qualities you have, to honor yourself and what you're capable of and all of your creative gifts that you have and leadership abilities that you have, where it really is just your best possible outcome is for you to enjoy yourself and for you to be happy and for you to fully express yourself the way that you want to without feeling as though you have to hold back or if some kind of fear in here that if you do that, it's just going to create problems, but that's not true. That's definitely part of your old bad programming in your head of possibly what you're capable of or what kinds of reactions you'll get if you do stand in your power and fully show yourself in all of your glory. But really, the Sun is all about happiness and joy and creativity and just feeling alive and feeling grateful for all of the blessings and wonderful things you have in your life. So you may have to speak up on the behalf of children, by the way. There might be something going on where children are not being listened to or they're not being dealt with in the proper way, in which case it may be up to you to speak up on their behalf. So coming up in your near future is the Six of Swords, and this is wonderful because this leads me to believe that you will finally be moving on from things like mental conflict, inner conflict, external conflict. Difficult situations will be resolved and differences will be settled. I see peacemaking involved here, or simply just moving on from the situation where it no longer affects you, where you're on to much more peaceful waters in the future, which is wonderful. And you're also being guided to do this. You feel very strongly urged to move on from any conflict in the past, or any difficult people or difficult situations. It's either it gets resolved, or you move on, or you allow it to roll off your back. So things are about to get a lot better. If you do need to speak up on the behalf of someone else, I'm getting that things will be able to be resolved in the near future. Or they will have their needs met, or you will have your needs met. So you right now are the King of Cups. The King of Cups represents emotional mastery, emotional control over himself, but not to the point of repressing his own emotions or shoving them down into his subconscious or pretending he doesn't have emotions. He simply, he has acute powers of observation and intuition. If someone lies to the King of Cups, he knows that they're lying. If someone is dishonest, I just said that, pardon me. If someone is coming off as something that they're not, if they're hiding aspects of their own nature, he sees right through it. And keep in mind, the kings don't have to represent men. They can be anybody. They can be women and men. So this is you right now. There may be something that you're noticing that you need to pay attention to and really trust what you're getting about something. There may be something going on underneath the surface that you have a strong feeling about that you need to trust. This is also saying that you have come a long way when it comes to handling your own emotions. If you have shoved your emotions down or pretended that you didn't have emotions that you did, I see you as finally coming to a place where you can honor all of your emotions and admit to all of how you feel, because honestly, all feelings exist for a reason. And also not to dwell or hang on to emotions. And there are thousands of emotions you can have. I'm sure there are emotions we have that we don't even have words in the English language for. Sometimes emotions are quite simple and sometimes they're quite complex. So if you have had things like resentments or jealous thoughts or feelings, or wanting to assert yourself in an emotional way to other people where they look up to you, or if you've had feelings of sadness, remorse, grief, happiness, all of them, you know, scorpionic emotions can go very deep. This is a Scorpio card, by the way. They can also be very hidden because, let's face it, we all have emotions sometimes that we become ashamed of or we wish we didn't have, and we certainly don't want anyone else to know that we have. But I see you as fully being able to acknowledge your feelings and honor all of them wherever they come from, and paying attention especially to where they come from and how to best go about communicating your feelings to other people in a way that's balanced and kept in check, where you're not leaking out onto anybody and you're also not bottling yourself up from other people. Because let's face it, true intimacy, the word intimacy or the concept of intimacy, belongs to the sign of Scorpio. In order to have true intimacy with people, they have to be able to see all of who you are, and you have to be able to see all of who they are and accept all of the undercurrents and things going on underneath the surface that oftentimes people get ashamed of, or they pretend they don't feel that way. So this is about self-acceptance. And this is also about being mature, finally maturing with how you express your emotions and also how you deal with your own emotions and how you respond to emotional situations that trigger you. In which case, in his best aspect, he has integrity. She has integrity and the ability to make sure that he's responding to situations that are not triggering other people or where he's not knocked off balance by being triggered. If this is a person in your life, this is a really amazing ally to have, that it's very protective and believes in fighting for the underdog or fighting for people who really need a champion or a guardian to help them out with making sure that they have their needs met. So this is really great. In your surroundings, you have Lady Justice. Here, I'm going to put the camera up just a little bit. That's my daughter's loft up there. That's really pretty. In your surroundings, you have Justice. So this says, expect fair dealings and fair outcomes. There is nothing that's going to be happening in your surroundings that is not fair or just. This says, if you have been fighting on the behalf of someone else, you will have a just outcome to your efforts. If you are having to stand up for yourself or speak up on your own behalf, you will be listened to and you will be met with gently and fairly. In other words, you will not be treated unfairly. You will have a good outcome in your surroundings. Also, what you put out, you get back. So concerning your surroundings, as long as you are behaving in a fair manner, then you can expect fair behavior back. And if someone has been out of line, they will be kept in check. And possibly by people in your surroundings where you don't even necessarily have to deal with meeting this head on. You may be able to go to higher ups and talk with them and then have them deal with it for you. This can also be saying that in your surroundings you may be involved in some kind of court issue. And if that's the case, then it should go well. You should receive a fair outcome to whatever the issue is. And also I see you making major decisions about either your own surroundings or other people's surroundings. And you're meeting people that are very calm, collected, cool, and extremely intelligent at this time, that can give you good advice. If you need advice, you should receive just, fair, concise, and clear advice. So, your hopes and fears. I'm looking at this as well, I don't know. Your fear is that you may remain stuck in a situation in your life where you're just not completely happy, or things haven't been good for a long time. There's been a lot going on where possibly you are just dissatisfied with your situation. But with the Princess of Cups in your recent past, and also with the King of Cups as you right now, I see you overcoming this feeling and cultivating more joy and fun in your life, where you don't feel as though you're stuck in a situation that doesn't make you happy the way that you would wish. And something about it feels like this has been going on for quite some time now. So your hopes are you'll be able to cultivate more fun and joy in your life and become re-inspired, or at least have those precious moments that make you glad you're alive. And concerning things that I'm getting you can't really do much about, perhaps it's some kind of situation where there's not much you personally can do about it, it's just what's going on right now. If that's the case, then try to get out of your emotional body a little bit sometimes. Just go for a nice walk, or eat some good food, or go out with a friend, or just do something to help snap you out of, I'm getting the word melancholy, feeling melancholy. So as your general outcome, you have Judgment. Judgment is about certain aspects of your being that possibly have been unconscious or subconscious, or felt like you used to feel certain ways in the distant past, or feel inspired by life where you felt like you had a calling, or you were called to do something meaningful, or that your life was going to take you to amazing places. And certain aspects of that inspiration may have lain dormant for a long time, possibly because you had to deal with certain scenarios or situations in your life. And now you're realizing that you want to get back to that again, that feeling of inspiration, or feeling as though you have a meaningful purpose in life that can better the world around you, the people around you, and yourself. There may be some unconscious parts of your nature that are being woken back up again in order for you to assess. But concerning assessing your life and the situations in your life and the things going on in your own psyche, this says you definitely need to let go of old methods or ways or old unconscious patterns that are keeping you from feeling as though your life is extremely meaningful. So your clarifiers with this Judgment card are the Ten of Swords and the King of Swords. You have a lot of swords in this reading, even from Lady Justice with her Sword of Truth. So I'm getting you're becoming very, very clear about certain things, perhaps parts of your life or parts of your being where you have felt defeated by circumstances or people or dynamics, where it's just too much, or it has felt like it was too much. And I'm thinking again of something that came up earlier about you feeling taken for granted, to the point where you perhaps have spoken up in the past about things that you felt weren't right, and instead of having the results that you were shooting for, you possibly could have gotten stabbed in the back, or they all turned out to be corrupt, or you just didn't get the response that you were expecting. You could have been met with cruel words or judgments, or just people who lack sensitivity, let's put it that way, that lack empathy or sensitivity. And so you may have turned that inwards and become extremely critical of yourself. But that's no longer working for you, and you know it. Which is why you have the Judgment card here, is because deep down inside you know that you're done with that cycle, and you don't want to keep on repeating that feeling of, if you do speak up, people are just going to turn on you or be hypercritical of you or be just uncaring. So also you may need to make some major decisions in your life right now concerning what you will accept or not accept, or how you go about communicating your boundaries to other people, where you are not able to be misunderstood in where you're coming from. Yeah, that's all I'm getting for now. So hopefully that made sense to you or helped you in some way. Many blessings to you. I wish you all the best. And to me, it also seems like you actually have three kings in here. You have the King of Wands, the King of Swords, and the King of Cups, and all of them are in good positions. So male allies or men in your life, or even just embracing your own masculine side at this time, as far as self-mastery, asserting yourself, communicating properly, and honoring your emotions, or knowing how to handle your own emotions properly, are all guiding you at this time to stand more fully in your own power, so that you can fulfill your purpose in life, or feel as though you are on your path and you are honoring yourself and moving forward in a good way. Okay, then many blessings to you, and we'll see you for your bonus reading.